SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematics, Consumer Product Focus. I am Charles Mayhew, the Product Manager for SOLIDWORKS Electrical for Hawk Ridge Systems. All right, so kind of give you guys an idea of what we're looking at. So some of the things that we thought about and SOLIDWORKS has thought about is the common electrical documentation process, right? So if we take a look at this, it's typically we do our drawings, right? Logic definition, part selection, system layout, and then we have our schematic for that. And then we've got to document that, right? So we've got to create our bill of materials, our wires and cable list, our to from lists. All of that reporting has to come up and get documented, right? And then we got to audit all of that. So you got to think about it. You got to take all those reports and go back to the drawings, and someone's got to manually check off to make sure that part A is part A, part B is actually part B, making sure that all of those components are correct, making sure that the labeling of those components are correct, making sure everything coincides with each other, right? It's very labor intensive. So we take a look at a schematic, right? If we take a look at, like in this schematic, there's a contactor relay right now. So if you think about all the touches needed to verify or change that component. So if we wanted to change that contactor relay from one manufacturer's part to another, how many things do we have to look at? We've got our power cabling, we've got our control wiring, we've got our bill of materials, we've got our terminal diagrams, we've got our symbol attributes, we've got all of this stuff adds up together. Now, this is taking in case for a more of an industrial design or industrial controls type of system, but you think about it, there is all of that information still, no matter what type of device you are designing, right? Yeah, you may not have a terminal strip drawing. All right, so that takes away 3 of those things. But you still have your powering, you still have your control, probably. So you've got some sort of schematic pages that you have to deal with. You've got the bill of material that you have to deal with. You do have symbol attributes that you have to deal with. You have wire labels that you have to deal with. And you've got all that adds up. So a total of 48 items in this particular case, in this slide, that need to be audited, right? So what if we told you that we can take that 48 items and help reduce that for you? With SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic tool, that's what we're going to do. So you still have to define the schematic, right? But everyone's doing that. So you either have to do it by pencil and paper, you have to use a standard 2D drawing application, or some other type of application for drawing out those schematics. And then you still have to do the documentation, right? Well, what if I told you I can audit, or this documentation and audit can be fully automated inside of SOLIDWORKS Electrical? Right, so that's the key to it, is that we're going to take all this manual information to the right here, and we're going to automate that for you. We're going to automate your bill of materials. We're going to automate your wire cable list. We're going to automate your to from list. We're going to automate the auditing of it, because while you're designing, it's going to do that auditing for you. It's going to verify that you don't have components tagged the same. It's going to automatically notify you that information. It's going to verify the BOMs for you, because when you insert a symbol in an associated manufacturer's part, it builds that bill of material for you. And it's going to verify the connections for you. So it's going to do all that automatically for you. All right, so let's take a look at actual SOLIDWORKS Electrical here. All right, so I want to bring up and we're going to go through how to create a schematic, how to reuse some data, and we're going to go through some automated, accurate reporting. I'm not going to touch on change management too much, but I will show you that you make some changes. It's going to update everything for you. And then we'll go into some final documentation, and then finally show you one step further, which will be the 3D environment, how we can actually visualize this in a 3D environment. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into SOLIDWORKS Electrical. Actually, I'll jump to SOLIDWORKS first so you guys can see what we'll be working on. Now, if you guys attended last week's where Scott did the PCB, he actually built the PCB board for us in SOLIDWORKS PCB, and this is a direct import from SOLIDWORKS using the PCB and the connector for that. So we created that board there. Now what we're going to be working on, or I'm going to show you guys, is this is basically an iceless cooler. It's got a nice 60 bottles in there, so you can have a nice lot of beverage. It's getting summertime. And we've got these Bluetooth, so we've got these speakers on here, got a board that controls it all. So basically it's a Bluetooth enabled iceless cooler for us to keep our beverages cold. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wire this up. We're going to create the schematic and add all that components to it, and then actually route these wires in 3D. So, just for the purpose of saving time, I do have a completed version here, and this is kind of my completed schematic. But I want to show you guys how easily it was for me to create the schematic from scratch, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here. I'm going to start a new project. So I'm just going to open up my project manager. I'm going to say new project. Now I've got several templates that are predefined in here for me. So I'm going to grab my ANSI with extra wire types, and it's going to go ahead and create a project for me to use. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with SOLIDWORKS Electrical, it is a database-driven application. So if I go ahead and creating this, it's actually creating the database in the back end for me to use for this application. So we're going to call this our Bluetooth iceless cooler. I'll put 2 on it because I do need a unique file or unique project name. And you can add in all this extra information, such as our design office. I'll just put this in as, Hawkridge Systems, and I'll go ahead and just fill in. Now this is nice properties that you can pull in from wherever you want. So this information can get populated into the project, and I'll go ahead and rename this to just call this, instead of description being ANSI project with extra types. If I can spell, here we go. All right, we'll go ahead and click OK on that, and it's going to go ahead and build out my project for me and create things for me here. So as it's doing this, like I said, it's connecting to the database, extracting the data, doing all that information for me in the back end, and creating that project to start with using my templates. Now, when you see that, it'll bring up, there'll be a new project over here under my documents tree, and you'll see there'll be several documents already in there pre-populated. And we're only going to use a handful of them, so I'll delete the extras, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just starting with a template, right? So, but you can create your templates and predefine them this way. So we'll go ahead and close these down so we don't get too confused with which one I'm working on. So see, it brought in my cover page. And if I look at my cover page, it automatically populated that information. It populated the Hawkridge Systems information down there, added my name and today's date as the Rev 0. I didn't fill any other information in, so it's not there for me, right? But I can definitely customize it, fully customizable, which is nice. First thing that you see too is a drawing list. Now, the drawing list is in essence a bill of material, or not a bill of material, but it's a report that we can customize also. But if I come in here and say take away my 05 because I don't need this, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. And then if I take a look at my power page here and say, I need to just change this. This is just going to be my system layout. So instead of saying power, it's just going to be, let's go ahead and type this out. System design, let's go ahead and put it as that. I'll go ahead and click that. Now this hasn't updated, but as soon as I right click on my drawing list here, I can tell it to update my report drawing. As soon as I do that, you'll see that it does drop down. It is now showing 4 pages, and it now shows system design there. So it updates pretty regularly for me. I didn't have to go and manually edit every cell of that, of that spreadsheet. Basically, it did it automatically for me. All right, so we'll jump into our system design here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just start out, right? So the first thing I mentioned is we've got our controller board, right? So for our controller board, I'm just going to go ahead and insert a black box. And I'm just going to place it here roughly kind of in the middle here, which is nice for me. I'm just going to draw it out. Now this black box is going to represent that PCB. So it's going to automatically give me available tagging for this. So it's saying Y is the current one. I don't like that. I'm going to call it PCB. And that will give me PCB1. And a class that's going to be black box. At this point, I can also add a manufacturer's part. So if I come in here and search, I already added that PCB in here as a component for me. It's not under black boxes, but I'll come in and search again. So I'll just come in. All I'm doing is typing in HRS for the manufacturer and doing a search. And I'm going to go ahead and search my database here. Oh, there's my iceless Bluetooth audio controller. So I'll go ahead and add that. And if you notice, I've got my connection points already defined over here also. All right, so those are all the connection points that are on the board, and I've got them grouped by J1, basically all the jacks that I need to plug into. So we'll add that. So there's our PCB1, and it's got our part number underneath there for me. Now I'll just go ahead and start laying stuff out, right? So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and drop in is my power cord. that I have coming in. So I'll just go ahead and say insert symbol and go ahead and say other symbol. And I'll come up to my buildings, and just for this purpose, I'm gonna go ahead and use this 3-phase plug outlet. It works, you know, it's got the number of connections that I want. And I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate it around. And I'm just simply right clicking. You can see that it does give me the ability to rotate stuff around. So that's the standard orientation, but I want 90 degrees. So I'll go ahead and drop that over here and drop that right here. And I'll just call this, you know, PL for plug, and we'll just do that, PL1. All right, so the next thing I need to get in is my connector that's going to connect into the board with. So I'll go ahead and say insert connector, and I'll go search. I'm going to use a Molex connector here, so I'll go ahead and grab my Molex connector. Now the cool thing about this is that it's all defined here, and I can even say, you know what, I need a 3-circuit Molex connector. Now it's going to drop it down even less for me. So we'll grab this 4030. We'll grab that, select that, and I'll go ahead and say, you know what, instead of J1, I want this to be P, and we'll go ahead and give this a specific number that matches the jack on the board. So I'll make that P5, not 8. There we go. And we'll say do that. And now I can insert this symbol. It's a dynamic symbol. And I'm going to basically just kind of rotate this around, but I don't want to rotate it. I want to mirror it. So we'll go ahead and place it there. And I'm just going to go ahead and place it up against my board here. Now it looks like I got this a little bit off, so I'll just grab this and drop this down so that they're in line, and we'll go off space there. Now I'll go ahead and draw in some wires, and we're just going to go ahead and use our 18 gauge here. Expand that out, and this first one is going to be white because it is our neutral for our plug. So we'll just go ahead from point to point, and then we'll go ahead and grab our green yellow for our ground and connect those up, and then finally our black for our line. And there we go, we made a simple first connection there for us. So the next one we're going to go ahead and get our battery in. So I'll do our insert symbol, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff here available for us. Symbols can be customized, all of it can be added to it. So our battery is under power supply. Go ahead and grab our battery, and we'll go ahead and go back to 0 on that, and we'll just go ahead and place that right about there. That'll work for us. And we'll change this to VAT1. We'll work for it, and we'll go ahead and grab our manufacturer's parts. We'll do a search here really quick. Oh, not going to do TE, we're going to do HRS is what we're going to do. And we'll search for that. There's our battery. We'll add that. Now, just creating these and adding these on the fly, pretty quick and easy. And we'll go ahead and insert another symbol here. So we'll say create new connector. Once again, it kicks us into the Molex. This time I just need a 2 point, so we'll go ahead and search 2. And we're going to go use this 3920. We'll go ahead and add that. And we'll select that. We'll go ahead and click OK. And we'll go ahead and place that. Now I'm just going to give myself a little bit extra room here, because what I want to do is come out and come down into this battery. And we'll just go ahead and draw on our wires here. Once again, we'll use blue and red. So we'll use red for our positive coming out of our component and drop down into there. And then we'll use blue for our ground, or our negative. And we'll just go ahead and bring that over, drop it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a little bit extra space here, because the way I want to make this work is I want this, I'll bring this down a little bit. And you've noticed when I grabbed that, it grabbed the end of the wire too and stretched it there for me a little bit. Now one thing I want to do is I want this battery not to be just a battery though. If we look at our 3D model, we've got these tabs on here. So we want to go ahead and add in these TE, terminals that connect into those blade terminals basically. So we want to add those, but we want our bill of materials, not really our bill of materials, we want our wireless to show that it actually is going to the battery positive or the negative of that battery versus to that spade terminal or that blade terminal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert another symbol here, but I'm going to come up and go to our connectors. And what I want to do, actually before I do that, I have a symbol, where'd it go? right there. So we're going to use this symbol here. I'm just going to go ahead and place it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and associate this to my battery. So it's bat1 also. And I can go ahead and hide the attribute on that if I wanted to, just by turning that off so the attribute doesn't show there anymore. Now it's a little hard to see that, the plus on the battery, so I can just grab that and I can just pull that down there and move the negative also so that way we can actually see it. That works better. Now we need to get one in for our negative side. Once again, same thing, but I'll go ahead and rotate, or I can say, you know what, let's go back to 0, which is that way. What we're going to do is a mirror. Place that right there. And once again, this is going to be part of our battery. Let's go ahead and select that. There we go. So now it's part of our battery, and those are parts of there. But if we look at our components properties, we don't have any manufacturer's parts for that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and search for those, and those happen to be a Tyco electric connector, and it happens to be right there, fasten 0.25 receptacle, 22 to 18 gauge bare. So we'll go ahead and add 2 of those. If you notice, it's going to automatically pick it up right there. So we'll go ahead and add 2 of those, and we'll select and add those. Now I can go ahead and add my notification here. This gives me the ability to edit the terminal, and I'll add this to plus, and I'll add this to negative. Now there's something I did here that you guys may or may not be aware of, is that it's got 2 connection points on this symbol. The reason I did that is so that way I can pass the equipotential information through if I needed to. That's what that is. This symbol actually has 2 connection points, and that's the reason for it, is so I can pass the equipotentials through those connectors if I needed to. All right. One thing I forgot to change was over here, component properties. That one's actually J, or going to be P3. I left it in as J, so we'll do P3. Click OK. And the cool thing about it is I don't have to worry about it. I make that single change, and it's going to show up and populate all the way through. All right, so we'll hide our attribute on that one. All right, so the next thing we want to go ahead and get in is our temperature sensor, which is our P1, which will be on the other side. Now, instead of inserting the symbol or inserting the connector again, what I'm going to do, actually, I better just go ahead and insert that one. We'll create a new one here. But we're going to use that same 2-pin connector. So we'll select that, click OK. But I want to get it so it's oriented right, so we'll go ahead and place it right around there. And that one's going to be fine. This J1 is fine. That works for me. Now I do need a couple more of these though. So what I'll do is just go ahead and simply copy and go ahead and paste. And the reason I'm doing this is so that way I don't have to worry about finding that same part again. And I can go ahead and place 2 more, just that easy. And you can notice it automatically did index the components for me. I'm going to move these up just a little bit so I can have some room to work. Now these symbols that I used are dynamic. So if you notice that when I did the 3-pin, it worked just fine. It grabbed the same way. Now I'm going to do an 8-pin also. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we'll create a new connector, Molex, and we're going to use 8 pins. Now this is basically for our speakers, so it works out pretty good. So I'm going to use my 2080 right there. We'll select that. And then we'll go ahead and place that. And this one's going to be P4. Notice that I typed P, it automatically updated to 4. So that's once again is doing some of that automation of the auditing for me. We'll go ahead and place that there. So all that did. Now I didn't change the symbol at all, but you notice it did it and increased it to the 8 position there for me. All right, so we'll go ahead and get in some more symbols here for our temperature sensor. That will be under our detector sensors. Actually, it's under, yep. We'll use the thermocouple symbol here, and we'll just go ahead and place that over here for now. All right. I'll just go ahead and call that TPS for temperature sensor, and we'll go ahead and search and find our Hawkridge one. And there's a nice one right there. I can use 0 to 300F. Okay, that works. It's not going to our cooler's not going to get down to 0 degrees, so we'll use that. And it's already got the A and B terminals already added. Looks like I might have flipped it, but that's okay. That works still. Just have to change our wiring. And then we can go ahead and draw in our wires here. So we'll go ahead and use our 20 gauge wires. And we'll go ahead and just draw. And actually, let's go up to 24. We don't really need too big on that. So we'll go dark blue on our B side. And we'll do, let's go orange on our other side. All right, got that connected. Now for our fan, we'll insert a symbol here for our next component. And you see as I'm just going through and grabbing information that is available here for me. And I've got a DC fan symbol. And we'll go ahead and place that over here for us. And I've got a fan in here. Find out which part I used again for my fan. All right. So this one is a EMB. There we go, EMB PAPS fan. We'll go ahead and grab that. Just like that. Okay, so there's our fan with our positive, negative. And we'll go ahead and insert, add our wires for this one. Oh, and I clicked the wrong one. I did multiple wires, which allows me to do multiple phases versus individual, but I want individual wires. So for this one, we will drop back down to our 18 gauge, and we'll do blue for our negative, and we'll do red for our positive. All right, so the next one we have is our thermocouple. Now our thermocouple I don't have a symbol for, so I'll use a black box. Now black boxes are really nice and handy because they are very diverse as far as what they can be used for. And like once again, I can add everything to it. So this is a thermoelectric cooler, so we're going to add one of those, and we'll go ahead and grab our part. There should be. We'll go ahead and do our search again here. Thermoelectric cooler 9x9. All right, we'll add that. And then for that, we're going to use another connector to connect into that. So I'll say insert connector. And this one will be a new connector. And once again, we'll use a Molex. We're going to use a 2-pin on this one. This one's going to be slightly different. It's going to be a 503668. That one, and once it's going to try to give me P2, but I don't want P2. Looks like I forgot to change the P's on those, so this one I want to be P7, and we'll go ahead and mirror this and just go ahead and place it like so. Looks like we might want to move some things around here to get it to fit just right, but we'll make our wires work. We'll draw our wires again, and this one I'll use 18 gauge red. We'll jog there, and we'll use black. All right, so we got that. Now, one thing I did catch myself on is I actually have a connector connecting to this fan instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste this. Now, the nice thing about this is I even connected that wire, but because my connection is there, it's going to connect it for me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go to my component properties. I want this to be P6. So we'll go ahead and do P6. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and fix this because we want this to be a P, not a jack. So we want it to be plug. And we'll fix this one while we're at it also, just to be safe, right? Go ahead and fix those. All right. And now this one needs to be fixed. It's not P1, it's P4. That one will be P. But it needs to go up to. That looks like I missed something. P4. Oh, this one's P14. That's why. We'll just make that 14. And this one can go back down to P4. So that's the nice thing about this is if I used it, even if I tried typing, say if I came in here and typed 14, it's going to give me the information, or it cannot create a duplicate mark in automatic mode. So it's giving me that error checking ability for me. That's why it also didn't let me use it with the plus. It jumped right past it. But if we go back down, there's P4. All right, so it's keeping track of all that stuff in a database for me. Now we need to go ahead and get in our speaker information here. So I'll go ahead and drop in a symbol for that. And we'll go ahead and drop in under signaling and alarm. I have a speaker. We'll use that one right here. And this one I will rotate 90 degrees, and we'll just go ahead and place it out here for now. And we'll call that SP1. All right, so we'll go ahead and place that. There's our speaker. So I didn't add a manufacturer's part to it though, but we can do that really quickly. Come back in here, search. And once again, make it our HRS. And there's our 6-inch speaker. So we'll select that, click OK. And we'll go ahead and draw in some wires here for our speaker. So we're going to use our 24 gauge wire here. Things aren't too powerful, not too much power behind them. So we'll start out with brown here. I'm just going to grab some random colors just to know that I can distinguish between everything. Drop that in there, and then let's go dark blue. And once again, if we look at our 3D model, our speakers have that same blade terminal on them, so we'll drop in those connectors also for those. So we'll go ahead and do our insert symbol, and we'll go back and grab our blade terminal, female crimp pin. And we'll just go ahead and drop that in. Now, if you notice that as soon as I grab on a line, it's going to snap to it and go in a certain orientation. But let's go back to our 0, because that's really how we want it. So we want our plus, and we want this to be part of our SP1. And then we'll add in another one. Now, there's a little thumbtack here to stay in the command if you wanted to. That would help out with keeping you, when you're placing multiples of these, to help create that fast way to create stuff. So we'll just go ahead and turn off our attributes here. And once again, we need to add the manufacturer's part, right? We need to add those TE components to the manufacturer's part. We'll come back and search, go to our TE. We'll grab 2 of those and add those. All right. Now I'm going to have 4 more speakers though. So instead of adding that all the time over and over and over again, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this information. And what I can do is I can create a macro out of this if I wanted to, a nice user macro, just by dragging and dropping this over into my macros. And I can call this, speaker macro. And now I've got that available anywhere else in any other program to be able to do over and over and over again. So let's go ahead and drag and drop that back out here. Now the thing you're going to notice is it's going to connect up my wires. I'll do the defaults here so it keeps everything the same. We'll just keep dropping a few of these in because we do need 4 of them. Drop 1 more. Now I grabbed the wire with it, which was kind of nice and handy if I wanted to do everything in series like this, but I don't. So I'll just go ahead and grab all those and delete that. So I want these to be all individual. They're going to have their own channel. So we'll just go ahead and draw in some wires for each one of them now. So we'll just go down the list here and we'll connect everything up. Just keep going through. Grab orange. Exited the command. Hit the wrong button. All right. So we'll do purple. And I don't have to worry about being too accurate with my wires. It's going to auto trim it back to the connection points. So we'll just keep going through here. And then we'll go ahead and grab last two here. And we'll do our one more. And we'll do yellow. So there's our pretty much our completed design of what we have here available for us. So we've got all our connectors, we got everything there. So let's take a look at the bill of materials. So if we look at go to our project, go to our reports. There's our bill of materials done for us automatically. You can see it did keep everything for us, gave us manufacturer, quantities, the information, reference for the part number, the marks that are used for it, all of that, that's there for us. Here's our list of wires. Here's all of our wires. And if we look at it, we can see that everything is connected. Now, one thing it didn't do is on our speakers. It doesn't tell us what terminal on our speakers, right? So we do have battery negative, battery positive, that type of stuff. So to fix that, all I need to do is come in here and modify the terminals. Oh, not on that, I need to do it on these. So we're going to edit terminal, just add our plus, and then on the same thing. For this one, we'll do our negative. Now, if I did this before in the macro and then dragged and dropped it back in, it would have done that for me. So it's just a matter of where I do it and when I do it is the key to this. But this gives me the flexibility of being able to modify it fairly easy on the fly and fix these once again. All right, and we'll get one more here. And we'll go ahead and positive and our negative. All right, so we'll go back to our reports and we'll look at our list of wires. Oh, and now they're all fixed with our positive and negatives for those speakers. So just simply making those changes gives us the ability to see that happening a lot faster, right? Once again, that's going to create everything for us. I don't have any cables, so I'll go ahead and delete that. So let's go ahead and generate reports. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take these and put them on a sheet format to create everything inside of that for us. Okay, go ahead and close that. So now we've got our bill of materials here, broken up by manufacturer. All right, so we got all our quantities, and if you notice, even those connection points, those little blade terminals, they're listed there with the mark for the component that they're attached to. Here's our list of wires by line style, so each wire type gets its own wire style all the way through. So it's nice, it's broken up by that, or I can combine everything if I wanted to. Now, one thing I didn't do is I didn't number my wires, right? So let's go back to our drawing here. With the click of a button, I can number the wires. Now, it does follow a general rule of going top to bottom, left to right, and it does fill in that information for me, right? So it did give everything numbers all the way through. Now, I can modify those if I wanted to. You know, I can say left speaker positive, right speaker positive. I can change all that type of stuff and put it in there and keep everything nice and neat if I really wanted to. All right, so that's our design. If we take a look at that, that's pretty quick and easy. I did that in roughly, 20, 30 minutes, maybe 25, 30 minutes. I did that complete design there for us. Now, if we wanted to take this design one step further, that would be our SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D content. Now I'm going to use this pre-existing one that I had done because I did have to do some work to it, such as inserting all the components, and I didn't want to bore you guys with having to insert all those components. One other thing that did need to be done also is I had to give it a preferred wire path, an area where I want my wires to route through. So that's kind of my preferred path there. And what I can do now, since I have everything listed there, I can go ahead and say route wires, and you guys will see that it will actually route a solid wire through this assembly, give me a realistic expectation of what those wire lengths need to be and what it's going to look like. So it does take a little bit of time. The nice thing about it is it's a click of a button. You can go off, grab a cup of coffee, glass of water, take lunch, do what you want to do, let the system do it while you're doing other stuff. Or you can go back and continue working on the schematic if you wanted to, working on more reports, that type of stuff. if you needed to. Creating any other drawings. If you had terminal blocks, that type of stuff, you can do those terminal drawings while this is happening also in the 3D environment. You can see it's starting to draw those wires in. Like I said, it does take a little bit of time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump back to our PowerPoint. That's how we can continue on and go through this really quick for us. All right. So we did kind of recap of what we did. I did a fast schematic creation with few errors, right? So I did catch errors as I was going through, but once again, I did just look at a report, and then it popped out. Oh, I forgot to put the terminal information in for those blade terminals. Like I said, intelligent and productive drawing tools. I was able to quickly create stuff on the fly. Even if I didn't have a symbol for it, using the black box, was able to create those really rapid, really fast. Once again, our automatic reporting and error checking, and our automatic terminal diagrams. I didn't actually have any terminals, so I didn't do one of those diagrams in there for us. So across everything, all the different components that we had to check. Now, one thing I didn't talk about was design rule. We can do design rule manager built in, and allows us to be able to find those errors too. Components missing manufacturer's parts, wires without marks, all that type of stuff can be done in there. And we can even do voltage drop along cables if you do have cables. All right. So design, reuse, a new concept setup. So I did reuse the macro, and then we did the intelligent copy and paste also, right? I didn't show how easily to define new components or symbols, but if you noticed, there was a add manual in the component properties, and it's just simply clicking that and adding the information that you need on the fly, relatively easy and quick. All right. Macros, just drag and drop them. There's the black box. If you wanted to, you can do update black box symbols with the different pneumatic and hydraulic information, or different connection points. We'll bring that in for you. All right. We did touch on the automated and accurate reporting, the bill of materials, the wire to, from, and cable reports, label reports ready for print. I didn't show you those, but you can do a report specifically for wire labels and cable labels also. And the reports are all SQL based, so you can customize them relatively or quickly, in fact, for that, to get that information out of the system that you are looking for. All right, so there's just some examples of the reports that pop in there for us. And then we didn't do any changing, but if you think about it, you can easily reorder and renumber documents, recalculate device marks, and recalculate wire numbers. It's really easily moving things around. I did show that changing component marks does give you the ability to see stuff and to be able to grab and see those errors beforehand, so you're not producing documentation that has those errors. All right, and that's all in the process here. Number new wires, renumber wires, remark, and renumber documents are all available there on that process tab. Now, we didn't talk about final documentation, but let me go ahead and jump into that while that's up there for us. Now, the nice thing about this is I can actually come here and export. I can export to DWG and or PDF, or even e-drawings, which is the nice thing. So you do get that capabilities into the standard formats. The nice thing about the PDFs is it does contain information there for us. I can also create DWGs, standard DWG based off the version that I want, folder information of where to place it, that type of stuff for us. All right, so that's all there available to you. All right, and it all creates a nice bundled package all in one with everything there easily shared with people. So let's take a look at key benefits to wrap up here. So we did a fast schematic creation with few errors, easy data reuse and new content setup, automated and accurate reporting, the rapid change management, and then professional quality final documentation. They're available for us, right? All of that within 30-35 minutes. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any questions. There is a questions pane, so go ahead and type those questions into that questions pane, and we'll go ahead and answer those for you. While I'm waiting for questions to come in, I did show our routed all of our wires here. If you notice that, it did route those and connected them into those connectors, connected out to the speakers and everything for us, and did that all in place for us. All right. Still waiting for any questions to come in. Oh, looks like there is a question just hit. Let me expand my questions task here. All right. So there's a question about how should wires that need to be bundled together be represented? Can I use cable without a predefined cable type? That is a little bit different. You could, in theory, do that, just create a generic cable type. The unfortunately thing about that is that in your report, it will show up as a specific cable, and it would show up on the cable report as that manufacturer's part. If you're just bundling or wiring or holding things together, the schematic really doesn't care if those are bundled or not. It's the 3D that is more of the realistic thing. There have been times where people have created zip ties that use routing points through the standard SOLIDWORKS electrical routing, and then they move those wires and push them through the clips, which would be the zip tie, to get them to look more like a representation of being bundled together. All right. Another question is it possible to import DWG with layers for a machine? You can import DWG. The caveat to that is how much intelligence really comes into it, because our drawings, if we take a look at one of them, these are in essence a drawing similar to DWG, but it's very much everything I drew on this page is a SQL database entity. So the PCB, the black box, all the wires, everything like that is there. But there is a import DWG files command here. 90% of the time, it's not really usable for that purpose. If you're worried about layers, we do have layer capability within the project here also, so you can add layers and modify layers, and that type of stuff is available there for you. And then those layers do export. So if you do draw things on different layers, you can export those to the DWG and they will work the same way. There's another option. Are there import-export options compatible with ePlan software? Through the online content portal. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, through our manufacturer's parts manager, click the wrong button. On the online content portal, which just opened up on a different page, I'll drag that over here so we can see it. If we go into the electrical portal here, and if you log in, there is a ePlan macro converter built into here. The nice thing about it is you have to upload it, it generates it for you, and then emails you when it's ready. So it's not being done on your system. So it does take a little bit longer. So macro converter right here is the ePlan one. So you upload the file and it will actually take it back out for you and create that for you. All right. There's another one is question, is there a way to automate updating and generating all required reports and exports to be with one click? Yes and no. There is a new feature in 2017 that's part of the project configuration, and that's down here, update generated drawings. Right now it says to ask me, you can say always, and what that's going to do is anytime you print or export, so if I export to DWG here, and we'll just put this on our desktop for now, it's going to ask me if I want to update my reports. So this time it didn't ask me because I said don't ask me. So it did went through and updated those reports automatically for me. If I change that to say ask me, it will ask me. There's also an option for never. So that was something new that was added in 2017. It's available there for you. So when you print and or, so if I come up here and say print and say, you know what, I want this to go to right Microsoft print to PDF. We'll just put this at, tabloid. It's going to ask me, project was modified since last generation reports, design rules and terminal strips drawings. Yep, continue without updating, update drawings. It says can't update them because they are currently open. I do have them open. I can say cancel, which then allow me to close these drawings. And then when I print, it will update those for me. There's also, if you top list here, I think maybe document book. Draw reports, update selected reports will also update all the reports also. So you've got two different ways of doing that. Right. Another question, is there revision control? There's not your typical revision control that you would think of like a standard PDM software. We do have revisioning within the application. So if you come here, there is revisions, which allow me to go through, I can say validate, verify, update the drawings, which will basically timestamp it with that current. And you can create what's called snapshots during this. So if I come up and create a project snapshot, so here's take snapshot, which basically creates an archive at that revision 0. Click OK. I can unarchive that and go back to revision 0. The thing is, then I do have 2 projects with the same name in my project manager, so you want to have to manually manage those a little bit better. Is there a way to see the difference between revisions? Unfortunately, no, because you cannot, other than opening them up at the same time. That's the only way really to see the 2 of them. There are some planned changes coming along in the works as far as the update or the link to PDM. The link to PDM is being modified, and it should have a more of a traditional mechanical type PDM connectivity, which will give you individual drawing revision control within the PDM environment. That's supposed to be released in a future date here shortly. Are there any other questions? Well, we have run over our semi-allotted time here. So if there are no other further questions, we'll go ahead and close this out for everyone and look forward to next week's real question that did come in, is there a viewer for out of the house? Unfortunately, no, because everything is a database-driven application. Pretty much majority of the work is databases. So we found most people are okay with printing or exporting to printing to PDF and or exporting to DWG, and most people can do that. Or you can even export to eDrawings, which eDrawings is also a free viewer for all SOLIDWORKS files. So there's availability out there for people to see and view it with not being connected to the database. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and finish off everything. We'll say thank you for attending. Be on the lookout for next week's episode, where we will be making changes to the PCB board and to our electrical design and pushing those into SOLIDWORKS, so you guys can see a more detailed process of how that works. And once again, thank you for attending today's 3D Solution Spotlight for SOLIDWORKS Electrical for consumer products. Thank you.